Hi, I'm Marilyn Ellie. I am a citizen of Cortland Manor, New York State, and live very close to Indian Point, and have followed Indian Point for a very long time. Thankfully, it is closed now, and we're working on the deconstruction of Indian Point and making sure it's done safely, and so that the community around is safe. But that brings up something else. There are so many people these days that feel that nuclear power is an answer to climate change, and it is not. Nuclear power is dirty. It is just not clean. It is not cheap, and you can't scale it up. So it's not fast. And those are the three things we need. We need something that's clean, cheap, and fast. And what is that? Solar and wind. And right now in this country, there is a war, not just on Ukraine, but also on renewables. And that really needs to be addressed by every thinking person because we want to support the war in Ukraine. We want to give those fighters what they need, of course. But do they need another pipeline in this country? No. Who's asking for that pipeline? People that can make money, the industry that can make money, the fossil fuel industry. And those are the kinds of questions that need to be asked, long term and short term. Is this really good for Ukraine when you're saying that we need to put in the Mountain Valley Pipeline, for example, or we need to put bigger pipes in for the other pipeline so we can get more gas and get that to the coast and we can make what they call liquefied natural gas. Who's saying this? People in the industry who want to make money. If you look, it's not hard to follow the money, and that's exactly what all of us need to be doing to, I'm going to say, to override the Joe Manchin syndrome, because he's making a lot of money, not just with coal, but also with the other fossil fuels. And it's just not right. He was talking about having gas pipelines, more putting in more infrastructure for gas pipelines so that our children will be safer in the future. Well, that makes no sense. It makes no sense. And this is definitely, it's just not true. Not only does it not make sense, it's just not true. So we need to do as citizens what we can. And what does that mean? Basically, it means being activists. We need to ask these questions about who's demanding more gas, and have they asked the Ukrainians what they want? Do the Ukrainians asking for more gas? I don't think they are. They have already unplugged from the Russian grid, and they're now uh, in sync with the European grid system. And they're already talking about building back an infrastructure after the war that is 100% renewable. So they're not asking for this. Europe is not asking for this. They may need something in the next 2, 3 years short term, but in regard to more gas from this country, but we have the capacity here to do that without building more infrastructure that we would have to have in place for the next 30 years. And if you have the infrastructure in place, what happens? You get a big demand to use it. And that's not what we need. We do not need gas. We do not need fossil fuels. But what we do need is wind and solar. And these are easy questions to ask, and the answers are not that hard. I've listened to a lot of the experts and I've studied a lot of the statistics, and frankly, I'm not doing that anymore. What I want to do now is I want to do the right thing. And the right thing is to stop using fossil fuels. And people will find a way. We always have. If you recall, there was a terrible controversy over seatbelts when they first came out. And it just, once it happened, everybody just took it for granted, just like they do now. So all of these things are just due in some part to a reluctance to change. And we don't have any time and cannot tolerate that anymore. We just can't. We have to ask these questions about what's really needed and get to the root of things. I hope you'll take this seriously and I hope you'll think about it. And I hope that you will think about what you will do and get in touch with some of the organizations, because one person working alone cannot what can you do when you're one person by yourself? But when you work with a group, you can get a lot done, especially in New York with our climate protection scoping bill. Um, Take a look at that. If you don't know about that, we can talk some more about that because they're saying in that bill, in that scoping act, in that draft, it says that New York should be 100% greenhouse gas free by 2040, at 2050. I'm sorry, by 2050, and 40% free of greenhouse gases by 2020. So these are things that we can do if we're not sidetracked, if we keep our eyes on the prize, which is not overheating the planet. So when you think about electricity and you think about generation, because that's a big important part of where carbon dioxide comes from, think about fast, think about cheap, and think about clean. And none of that is nuclear and none of it is fossil fuels. And we all need to speak up with letters to the editor, with calls to our legislators, and with talking to ordinary people that we all need to do the right thing to keep this planet from overheating and so that our children can have a planet that is beautiful like the one we have now. Thank you.